Welcome to this year's David Prouty High School National Honor Society induction ceremony, and thank you to Mr. Wage and Saxo 5 for the musical introduction. Before we get underway, as this ceremony does include the lighting of candles, I'd like to point out the fire exits in the auditorium in case of emergency, and those are located in the back of the auditorium. Tonight, the David Prouty High School chapter of the National Honor Society marks its 51st induction ceremony. Over the past 5 decades, David Prouty High School has admitted hundreds of students to the National Honor Society. Their legacies have made our school and our communities proud. Tonight's ceremony, however, is to honor these students who have achieved academic success and who have served as excellent role models for others to emulate in our current student body. In today's world, sometimes it is tempting to take the shortcut or the easy way out. These students remind us that success comes from consistent effort and that true leadership does not shrink from responsibility. As we formally begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, let us also remember the values of freedom and justice which serve as important foundations to our country. Members of the audience, please stand as you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please sit as Christine LaCroix, a senior member of the National Honor Society, opens tonight's ceremony by reading a poem and by lighting the first candle, by which all others will be illuminated.
Hold high the torch, you did not light its glow. 'Twas given you by other hands you know. 'Tis yours to keep it burning bright, yours to pass on when you no more need light. For there are other feet that we must guide, and other ones go marching by our side. Their eyes are watching every tear and smile, in efforts which we think not worth the while. Maybe, perhaps, the very things they need, actions to which their souls will take most heed, so that in turn they'll hold it high and say, I saw another carry it this way.
Thank you, Christine. I would now like to invite our principal, Mr. O'Brien, to the podium to extend a welcoming address.
Thank you, Tyler, and good evening. It is my humble opportunity to welcome you to David Prouty High School's National Honor Society ceremony tonight, where we will applaud these young men and women for showing the characteristics of the NHS of character, scholarship, service, and leadership. Special welcome to all your parents and friends. Welcome to our guest speaker, Ray Martinez, David Prouty High School graduate. Special thanks to Assistant Principal, Mr. Dave Bayshant, and to our Superintendent, Dr. Ted Malby, for coming here tonight. Our guest speaker spoke earlier today at a financial literacy award we had held in the library, and he gave a very inspirational speech, and I don't want to step on anything that he might say tonight, so I won't repeat what he has to say. But one of the things we have to remember is these students right here are the best of the best. And if you extrapolate Massachusetts from the rest of the world as its own nation compared to the world, we rank 4th in the world in education. Thank you. Massachusetts ranks their schools on a level of 1, 2, 3, or 4. 4 being the lowest. We rank, with the Massachusetts Department of Education, a level 1 high school, the highest ranking they have. So right now, what we have next to us, in front of you, are some of the best in the world. Ray asked me if I would tell my giraffe story tonight. And if you have any older siblings and you heard this, I apologize, but because Ray did ask me, I will tell you about a giraffe. And people might be wondering, what does a giraffe have to do with National Honor Society? When a giraffe is born, it drops 6 feet from its mother's womb and comes crashing to the ground. Quite a violent way to enter the world. And as this new baby giraffe, do you call it a calf? Yeah, we'll just say calf, struggles to its feet in this first awkward moments of life. And if you see the National Geographic special, it's quite amazing. And finally, when the giraffe gets to stand up, the mother giraffe takes her long neck and knocks it back down to the ground. And this looks savagely. And the little giraffe has to go through this struggle again to stand back onto the ground. Finally, when the baby giraffe comes up, the mother knocks it down again. Why would the giraffe be so mean to its own kind? Well, the mother giraffe wants to know that the giraffe will not forget how to get up. There's lots of dangerous animals, lions and tigers, predatoring on this poor little giraffe. So the mother has to teach it and remind it of their responsibility to nurture it. Kind of like your parents. When you were growing up and you didn't want to do your homework, get behind that kitchen table and get your homework out. So as we celebrate you tonight, think of the people important in your life that knocked you down and made sure you could get back up so that you could fulfill your destiny in being one of the best in the world. At this time, I would like to invite up Amanda Wozniak. She is the historian of the National Honor Society. Thank you.
The concept of an honor society first began at the turn of the century, when social aspects of education, such as athletic and extracurricular activities, had begun to attain new importance, while conversely, programs to encourage scholarship received less and less attention. Educators began to look for new ways of promoting academic excellence, and a number of organizations were formed to recognize students excelling in scholarship. The first society to encourage high school scholarship was Phi Beta Sigma, organized by 5 girls from Chicago in 1903. This idea spread quickly, and many independent societies were formed throughout the United States. These early societies were formed to meet local needs. Some had citizenship requirements or leadership standards, while others had service mandates, and still others had a predetermined scholarship standard. This resulted in the formation of area honor societies. The unification of these area honor societies was proposed in 1919 at the annual convention of the National Association of Secondary School Principals. Scholarship alone seemed insufficient, and after considerable discussion, the committee decided that character, leadership, scholarship, and service would be the fundamental virtues most worthy of encouragement. Edward Reinierson is often considered to be the founder of the National Honor Society. At the time, Mr. Reinierson was principal of Fifth Avenue High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was awarded Charter Number 1 of the National Honor Society in 1922. The emblem of the National Honor Society focuses on the keystone and a lighted torch. Just as the keystone maintains stability in the arch, the letters symbolizing character, scholarship, leadership, and service help to keep our society together and our lives true to the highest ideals of humankind. The torch represents the purpose of our society, to search for truth and the enduring values of life. The motto of the National Honor Society is Noblesse Oblige. In broad terms, it signifies that those who are successful have the obligation to behave honorably, generously, and responsibly towards others, or, in other words, to whom much is given, much is expected. The official colors of the National Honor Society are blue and gold, and the official color is the yellow rose. The David Prouty chapter of the National Honor Society was established in 1963. Therefore, as our president, Tyler Fittman, mentioned earlier, we are making our 51st induction ceremony tonight. To carry on a school tradition over the decades, the National Honor Society at David Prouty hosted a successful Alumni Day in December. 20 alumni returned to provide advice to current students about life after graduation. Additionally, over the past year, the National Honor Society continued its morning tutoring program to work with 14 students in need of extra help. This year, the National Honor Society began 2 new programs. The first new initiative was the Be the Change program. Each NHS member developed his or her own project to make beneficial impact on other people. Some projects have included a clothing drive, providing assistance to the elderly, making cookies for staff members, and creating gift bags for others who might be going through a difficult time. Also, the National Honor Society began the Panther of the Month Award. Each month, students are recognized for making a positive contribution to David Prouty High School or the local community. This year, 11 students have been awarded the title Panther of the Month. Through these events, the NHS members have given back to their school and their community, seeking to make a positive impact wherever possible. Tonight, we are proud to admit 13 new members to the society. We hope that this year, and in years to come, new members of our chapter will continue to uphold the standards of character, leadership, scholarship, and service here at David Prouty High School that has been emphasized over the past 51 years.
Thank you, Amanda. Tonight, we have a special guest speaker, Mr. Ray Martinez. Mr. Martinez graduated from David Prouty High School in 1992 and went on to study at Bowdoin College. Currently, Mr. Martinez is the co-founder and executive vice president of EverFi, one of the largest online education providers in the world. EverFi is the leading education technology platform company which focuses on financial literacy, digital citizenship, cyberbullying prevention, civic education, and health and wellness. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Martinez to the podium.
I'm not used to standing still when I talk, so bear with me here. I may move around like a cheetah. So I want to thank Tyler for that kind introduction. It is an honor to be here to celebrate this evening with all of you, especially with the new inductees and the current inductees into the National Honor Society. My grandfather worked for the town of Spencer for 30 years. He was the street sweeper, and for many of the folks in the audience, you might remember my grandfather, Robert Latown. And I remember as a little kid, we didn't have McDonald's. There was one stoplight in the town. I remember driving in the car and seeing my grandfather with his broom sweeping the streets, and he had these huge forearms like Popeye. And my grandfather didn't graduate from high school. He didn't go to college, but he raised 5 kids. And he saw 9 grandkids come into the world and 9 great-grandkids, including my 2 sons, Nolan and Benjamin. And his grandkids went off to college. Some of them went off to the military. There are nurses and lawyers and entrepreneurs in my family. And what I want to do today is share with you some of the lessons that my grandfather taught me along the way, lessons that I still hold to this day. I also want to share some lessons that I've learned in terms of starting my own company, one of the fastest growing education companies in the United States. So the first lesson my grandfather taught me was to be proud of where you come from. Be proud of where you come from. Be proud of the fact that you graduated from David Prouty High School, that you grew up in Spencer, Massachusetts. If there's one thing that you can take away from this evening, is be proud of the fact that you are a Panther. It is really important that you remember that. The company that I founded back in 2008, as Tyler was mentioning, we focus on issues that resonate with parents and with students alike. Conversations that might take place over Thanksgiving in hushed tones, or conversations that you might hear in the hallway of this high school or in high schools across the country. Topics that students really care about. We founded our company to focus on personal finance and financial literacy. How do you save? How do you budget? How do you protect your credit score? How do you make good decisions around investing? We focus on digital literacy. So how do you manage the technology devices that are in your hands every day? From cyberbullying to protecting your information online, all the way over to career preparedness, civic education, and then topics around alcohol and substance abuse. I've had the pleasure and the honor of traveling all across the United States over the last 6 years. When we founded the company, we actually jumped into Winnebago and we drove from Washington, D.C. to Long Beach, California. And I actually just got back from a 812-mile road trip across the state of Montana. And I worked very closely with teachers and curriculum directors in very rural parts of this country of showing how the technology can support classroom instruction. I'm talking about classrooms of 7 students, 15 students in a graduating class, Native American reservations in Box Elder High School. And our mission is to make sure that this generation, the generation sitting on stage and in the audience today, is better prepared for life, for careers, and for college. But the most exciting part of my year, every year, is coming home, is coming back to Spencer. And this morning, we were able to recognize 65 students from David Prouty High School who took 6 to 8 hours during the school day to finish our online curriculum to become certified in financial literacy, a skill that's going to help them as they go off and get their first jobs or go off to college. And the unique thing about this program is that it didn't cost David Prouty a dime. It didn't cost the parents in this room any money. It didn't cost the taxpayers any money. It's being fully funded by Spencer Savings Bank. And I want to thank, Diana Ford. I know she's not here today, but I talked to Diana 6 years ago when we were this little bitty nascent startup company, and she took a risk and started with a small pilot that has now grown. I want to thank Mr. O'Brien for his leadership. It's been a pleasure getting to know him over the last 5 years. So I'm proud to be from Spencer. I'm proud of the fact that I graduated from this high school in 1992. And I'm so thankful for the role models that I had in my life. The teachers, the coaches, some of the parents that are in the audience today, Mr. and Mrs. Donahue, people that believed in me and pushed me to be better. So I have a question for the students, and you can just raise your hand. So how many of you plan on going off to college? So almost all of you. So don't forget where you come from. When you go off to college and you pursue your academic goals, don't forget Spencer, don't forget Prouty. This town, this community, this high school has shaped you in ways that you don't even realize yet, and they're great lessons. I think there was part of me when I was 17 and 18 that couldn't wait to go to Maine, couldn't wait to go to college, wanted to get out of here. And I've lived in some pretty unique places. I've lived in San Francisco, I've lived in San Diego, I've lived in Dallas, Texas. I currently live in Washington, D.C. But there's something about a small town that forces you to find commonalities with other people. There's something about a small town that makes you care about one another. And even though I've lived in these big cities, nothing can replicate what it's like to grow up in a community like Spencer. Don't forget that. Use this small town energy, use your small town personalities to fuel who you want to become, not just now, but in the future. I tried memorizing this, but it didn't quite work, so you have to bear with me on the notes. The second thing my grandfather taught me is that if there's a job to do, work hard at it. The difference between mediocrity and excellence comes down to one thing, and that's hard work. So whether that's getting good grades in college, whether that's getting an internship, whether that's applying for your first job or applying to a nursing program, you've got to work hard. And if there's a job to do, people are not going to fault you for putting your best effort forward. So I do actually want to hear from the students, so we're going to make this a little bit interactive here. So I'm going to go out on a limb. Who are the new here? These are the veterans down on the floor? Yeah? Okay. So you all are the veterans. You all are inducted into the National Honor Society. So I'm going to ask all of you actually to stand up, just this row right here. I actually want you to turn around and face the audience. Come on, you gotta smile, get into this a little bit. So I actually just want to hear from this group right here in terms of your dream profession. You know, if you think 5, 10, 20 years from now, what is your dream profession? You are all obviously very smart, very talented. You've got a great support network in this audience. And so it's something like, if I was saying it right now, this is what I would say. I'd say, Ray Martinez, professional fly fisherman. That's what I want to be. And if you asked me back in 1992 what I wanted to be, I would have said quarterback for the New England Patriots. I was 5'8", 150 pounds, soaking wet. That didn't quite work out, unrealistic expectations. Or I would have said like a doctor or a lawyer. But the reality was I had no clue what I wanted to do. And you know, it may change, but just for this exercise, just say your name and your dream profession, but you're going to say it with a little bit of passion and conviction. We'll start with you.
I'm Sarah Kuczynski and I want to make movies.
You want to make movies? All right.
I'm Ray Martinez and I want to be a business administrator.
Great.
I'm Ashley White and I want to be an industrial engineer.
Standing.
I'm Jerry Koji, and I want to write.
I'm Jacob McHugh, and I want to be a chemical engineer.
I'm Taylor Joubert, and I want to be an engineer.
I'm Sydney Engel and I have no idea what I want to do.
I'm Brennan Kaufman. My dream job would probably be Division I basketball.
Here you go.
I'm Justin Clayfield, and I want to work in digital forensics.
I'm Jason Barrett, and I want to be a college athletic trainer.
All right. Big round of applause. So the students in the audience and the students up on stage, you know, you all have dream professions, you all have goals, and my advice to you is find people, surround yourselves with people who are going to support those goals. That's really, really important. The naysayers that you can't make movies or be a Division I basketball coach or become an engineer, block that out. You can do whatever you want. And, you know, I was saying earlier, I'm probably the most unlikely entrepreneur up on stage. I had no idea what I wanted to do after Bowdoin College, but I followed my passion, which I learned from tutoring students, that I wanted to help others, and I wanted to educate others on really important topics. And, you know, that's really important. Find your conviction, find your passion, but pursue it with a lot of belief. The next thing I wanted to do is actually just share with you some of the things that I've learned from starting my own business. So my company started with 3 people in a row house in Georgetown. We actually took our life savings at the time, which wasn't a lot, and we built our first online platform, which is a high school financial literacy curriculum that many students have completed up here on stage. And we decided, to the amazement of our wives at the time, that we weren't going to charge anything to use our curriculum. So our business model for those business majors or future entrepreneurs is pretty unique. So we build online platforms and we give them to public schools, and schools can use them at no cost. And we are going to get paid through the private sector, that we were going to go and find banks and corporations and foundations who would pay for it. The day that we incorporated our company is the day that the market crashed back in 2008 and 2009. So pretty tough time to start a business. But we spent about a year and a half traveling across the country, working with teachers, working with students, and there was a great response to the curriculum. We were having a lot of success of students using the program. But one of the things that you need to operate a school district, to operate a place like David Prouty, to operate a business, is revenue. You need revenue, and we didn't have any of it. So here we are about a year and a half into running our business, and we were literally running our company off of our credit cards. I had my young son Benjamin at the time, and there were some pretty rough Christmases. There was nothing in the stocking, let's say. And so that was tough, and what was really interesting is when my CEO and my partner, Tom Davidson, called me from Charlotte, and he said, hey, Ray, can you fax me your credit card because I'm actually in the hotel lobby at the Holiday Inn, and my credit card is maxed out. And I've got a meeting tomorrow, and I was like, Tommy, my credit card's maxed out as well. And luckily, our third partner, Chappie, had some money left on his credit card, so he faxed it into Charlotte, and Tom, got to get a warm room and a bed and had his meeting the next day. And we were literally days away from shutting down our business. And luckily, we got an investment, a company, a bank, BB&T Bank, gave us $100,000. They didn't give it to us, we earned it, but they sponsored 34 schools across the country. And that $100,000 we took and we ran to the bank, paid our cell phone bills, we had $90,000 in credit card debt, and we were able to grow from there. So my point of telling you all this in a roundabout way is follow your passion and do it with conviction and do it with belief, but nobody's gonna hand you anything. You need to go out there and you need to grab it. If you wanna write movies, you wanna be an engineer, you wanna be a Division I basketball coach, go get it. But nobody's gonna give it to you. You have to earn it. And there are gonna be setbacks, and how you respond to those setbacks is critical. And I'm proud to stand here today to let you know that we have now 150 employees based in 24 states across the country. We've had 7 million students, not just students here in Spencer, 7 million students have been certified in one of our programs. And thank you. We've raised $21 million from some pretty unique folks in the technology world. So Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, Evan Williams, who founded Twitter, and Eric Schmidt, the chairman of Google, are all personal investors in our company. So the two other pieces of advice, or maybe there's a few more, but the second piece of advice, something that I've learned from starting this company, is ask for help. So the biggest mistakes that I've made in my life was when I didn't ask for help. And it's really critical that you do that. You don't have to have everything figured out right now. People want to help you. People in this audience want to help you. Your professors in college want to help you. Your coaches. People want to help you. So ask for help when you need it, both in the times when you want to challenge yourself and the times where you might have some self-doubt. And for the parents in the room and for all the students, the other piece of advice that I'd give you is find a mentor. Find somebody that you can aspire to, somebody who will challenge you, somebody who will give you advice, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it in your personal life, you're going to need it in your professional life, and having a good mentor is critical. And the mentors that I've had in my life started here at David Prouty. I mean, obviously my mom and my dad, I'm blessed to have incredibly supportive parents, but my football coach, Neil LeBaire, was a huge mentor to me. And he's the reason why I went to college. When I was in 8th grade, I honestly wasn't thinking about going to Holy Cross, going to Bowdoin, going to Hamilton, applying to Yale. I didn't think about those things. But luckily, I had somebody that believed in me very early on, and that was Neil. My professors at Bowdoin College, Mr. McEwen, and the family that I've created at Everfi. You're going to need mentors and seek them out. And finally, stay curious. Stay curious. So curiosity will help you. Never be satisfied with who you are today. Always strive to be who you want to be in the future. And that means consistently challenging yourself. Reading the newspaper, out-preparing yourself, reading books, showing up on time. Be curious. It is one of the best attributes you can have, both in your professional and in your personal life. Push yourself to become better. So finally, I just want to tell all of you up on stage and in the audience just how proud I am of all of you of being inducted to NHS, National Honor Society. But I also want you to know how proud all the folks in the auditorium are and the 11,000 people that make up the town of Spencer. They're proud of this accomplishment, but we know that there are many more to come. So build off this moment, be proud of where you come from and what you can be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, for your words of insight and motivation. Your accomplishments demonstrate the potential and opportunities that our students at David Prouty High School can achieve. You are an excellent role model to our National Honor Society members and to the David Prouty High School community. At this time, we will hear interpretations of the 4 National Honor Society cornerstones, beginning with our treasurer of the National Honor Society, Chelsea White. She will speak about character.
Character is defined as the features and traits that form the individual nature of a person. Our character defines much of who we are, how we think, why we act, and what we say or do. Our character is shown by what we do when we think nobody else is around. Our senior class recently heard a story that taught us what it means to have good character. It was told by Mark Manella, a motivational speaker who holds an assembly for the senior class every year. The story is based on the writing of Lauren Isley in the short story The Star Thrower, and is about a man who was jogging down the beach after a major storm had just come through the area. He was dismayed by the large number of starfish that the storm had washed up on the beach. He thought that there was nothing he could do because of the immense numbers. As he continued down the beach, he saw a little boy bend down, pick up a starfish, and throw it back into the water. As the jogger approached, the boy bent over again, picked up another starfish, and was about to throw it back into the water when the jogger stopped and asked, "Why are you doing that? There are thousands of starfish on the beach. You can't possibly make a difference." The little boy looked at the starfish, threw it back into the water, and replied, "I made a difference to that one, didn't I?" The young boy showed good character by trying to help as many starfish as possible. He didn't let the jogger stop him from doing what he thought was right. In the end, these private day-to-day decisions will reveal your true character. Having good character means understanding what is right, even if everyone is against it, and what is wrong, even if everyone is for it. This year, we got a new motto for our National Honor Society. Our advisor, Mr. Rinji, inspired us with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi: "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Being the change means treating others with kindness and always being the best person you can be. The students in front of you have chosen to demonstrate good character by being the change. This has been displayed in classrooms, in hallways, and on the court or field. I would like to congratulate the new inductees on their success and will now light the white candle in honor of character.
Thank you, Chelsea. Now, Rachel Clarkson will give her interpretation of scholarship.
By definition, scholarship is knowledge acquired by study, and a scholar is defined as a learned person. When hearing these terms, who do you think of? More than likely, the frazzled image of Albert Einstein will pop into your head. Maybe the artist Michelangelo, the author Rachel Carson, or perhaps you'll picture Steve Jobs. The truth is, you don't have to formulate equations or create artistic masterpieces to be considered a scholar. You simply have to have a passion for learning. Look at all these young faces on the stage. Right now, you are in the presence of David Prouty's brightest students, and tonight we are honoring them because they are scholars. To become a member of the National Honor Society, the candidates must have and maintain a GPA of 88. But scholarship is more than just your intellect acquired from a book. It's learning outside of your comfort zone by getting involved in things you have no experience with. Many of these students are involved in extracurricular activities where they are acquiring skills that can't be taught in a classroom. Student council members become leaders. Athletes unite to work in cohesion to accomplish goals. and those involved in the arts discover hidden talents and bring their ideas into reality. Most importantly, these students, or scholars rather, have shared their knowledge with those around them. They tutor their peers, they bring enthusiasm to their school presentations, and they jump at the opportunity to get involved and to get others involved. The quality of scholarship is something that will follow and aid these NHS inductees wherever they go in life. Having scholarship also leads to scholarships, which is something I'm sure your parents can appreciate. Congratulations to this year's new members of the National Honor Society. I will now light the yellow candle, symbolizing scholarship.
At this time, Samantha Preventure will speak on service.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here to speak on a key part of National Honor Society. But before I begin, I want to congratulate each and every student on the stage for their achievements and acceptance into the National Honor Society. It wasn't an easy trip here, but you made it, and that's an achievement in itself. One key pillar of the National Honor Society, symbolized by the red candle, is service. Some people see service as a chore, while others see it as a new beginning or as a challenge. True service is not doing something to help yourself, but to do it to help others. You may have to give up some of your free time, but it's worth it when you accomplish what you set out to do. The rewards for making these sacrifices are truly life-changing. The feeling inside when someone knows that people care and want to help is a feeling of hope. Through service, you get incorporated into an experience that opens you to new ideas and/or things around you that you never knew about before. Service also helps us to make the world a better place one day at a time. This year, National Honor Society started a new project, Be the Change. As Be the Change, each senior National Honor Society member tried to do something to help our peers, school, or community out. This Be the Change project was inspired by the quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," by Mahatma Gandhi. Just as this quote says to do, whatever it takes to change the world in a good way. For example, Christine LaCroix, Taylor Joubert, and I collected gently used clothes for 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, we were able to collect multiple bags full of gently used clothes to donate to the First Congregational Church in Spencer. These gently used clothes that were donated is a great example of service. Even though it seems like a small thing to do, it is a huge thing to a person receiving the donation. Now I'll light the red candle that symbolizes service. May it inspire everyone here tonight to be the change in their own way.
Thank you, Sam. Finally, Jennifer Wozniak will give her interpretation of the fourth and final National Honor Society Cornerstone of Leadership.
When we think of leaders, we often only think of those strong figureheads of history. Names that come to mind are George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Martin Luther King Jr. But what about those leaders behind the scenes? Where would we be if Rosa Parks hadn't refused to move her seat? Or if the Minutemen hadn't prepared themselves to fight in a moment's notice during the Revolution? Leaders don't need a title. Eleanor Roosevelt was a leader. And though her husband held the title of president, he was hit hard by his case of polio at the end of his career, and Eleanor made many of the decisions he was unable to make. Many people were unaware of her actions, and that is how she wanted it to be. Today, it would be impossible for a situation to occur in the White House, but in her time, Eleanor had taken the initiative to do what must be done, and that is what a leader does. For a leader is not measured by their rank, but by their ability to direct and motivate others. Leaders stand up for what is right and make an effort when no one else will. One of my favorite examples is of Ernest Green and his struggle for integration into an all-white high school in Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. Ernest was one of 9 students to attend Central High School, but he stands above the rest because he was the first to graduate. His graduation solidified integration despite the resistance of fellow white students and faculty members. It was not an easy task, as Ernest and the other 8 students faced extreme brutality, both physically and verbally, in and out of school. What made it worse was that the adults, the people who were there to keep the kids safe, failed to discipline the white students who were clearly guilty of the insistent bullying. Though it was hard, Ernest pushed through to the end because he knew he wasn't just doing it for himself. He was doing it for every African American student, proving to the nation that the color of his skin did not make him any less able than a white student. This gave many African American students the courage to integrate and was a significant mark in the end of segregation in schools, and all he had to do was go to school. The students you see before you are leaders. Some stand in positions of power. They are the president of student council or captains of their sports teams. Others are more humble and work behind the scenes, being merely members and participants, yet still playing roles of extreme importance. Being upperclassmen, they stand as role models for the younger students and younger siblings. They lead by example. They exhibit the qualities of guidance and selflessness and continue to improve the world around them, despite obstacles in their way and despite the lack of credit they may receive. They are leaders outside their classrooms, and while still managing to keep an average of 88 or higher. So it is my privilege to welcome them into the National Honor Society. So with these last words, I will light the blue candle in honor of leadership.
Thank you, Jennifer. New members. At this time, Mr. O'Brien will present to each of you the National Honor Society Membership Certificate. New inductees, please come forward when our secretary, Isabel Saunders, reads your name. Each of our senior National Honor Society members chose one of you to sponsor. Our aim is to encourage you to join us in our pursuit of greater achievement, always keeping true to the National Honor Society Cornerstone ideals. Once you receive your certificate, your sponsor will light your candle. First row, please stand and remain standing for the duration of the ceremony. Audience, please join me in congratulating each student as he or she receives their certificate.
Anna Bogdan. Ryan Bowen. Nicole Cummings. Austin Pittman. Second row, please stand and remain standing for the remainder of the ceremony. Jamie Fontaine. Taylor Houston. Danielle Huston. Casey LeCaire. Samantha LaPrade. Third row, please stand and remain standing for the remainder of the ceremony. Joshua LaValle. Adrian Novus. Jackson Paul. And Robbie Van Dyke.
New members, you have heard the ideals of our society represented in the four Cornerstone speeches. If you believe in them and are willing to uphold them, I request that you make the following National Honor Society pledge. All members of National Honor Society, please repeat after me. I pledge myself to uphold the high ideals of the National Honor Society, to build a strong character in myself and others, to further the advancement of scholarship, to carry aloft the torch of leadership, and to serve my school, my community, and my country. New members, you have committed to uphold the ideals of the National Honor Society. By the authority vested in me as president, I declare you members of the David Prouty High School chapter of the National Honor Society. Please join me in extending our sincere congratulations. All of the members wish to thank everyone who attended and participated in our induction ceremony to celebrate academic excellence in these students before you. Specifically, thank you to Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Wage, Saxo 5, and all the parents, teachers, and staff who helped make this night possible. New members, please blow out your candles as we cordially invite all of you to our informal reception in the cafeteria. Again, congratulations.